Hi, testing. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, this is Reggie. I know it's been a while, since I've last been here. So had a lot of things happen over the last couple of months. Mainly the biggest one I had to do was that I recently moved. I recently got a new place back closer to home where my relatives live. So I'm staying close to them for a good while. And so I've been kind of like busy with that, but also, I had a lot of things. I'm busy with work. Also, had a big trip I had to do as well. So, but now I'm actually getting back and actually streaming more now. Because things have still been pretty busy as of lately, I can't guarantee I'm gonna get back to the stream like every Saturday like I had hoped. But I think as of right now, I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna stream, as needed, or whenever I have the time. But let's go and get started. But first off, let me show you a little bit what I've been doing as of lately. So, as some of you can see, this is a brand new sketchbook I started on in. Well, really, it's more different colored pencil stuff. But I haven't done too much stuff in here. Just some line work stuff here. Just some stuff I did. You're testing out some oil pastels I already had. Some of you who've been watching my YouTube shows, you probably already saw this right here. This is an image I did of like Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone. I'm really proud of how well this turned out, especially since it had been a while, like since I'd done any finished like drawings. So it was great to get a chance to actually do this. So I figured today I'd make this more of a free one where I'm just gonna work on a sketch I had started on earlier this morning. And since I tend to like to do cowboy, I think I'll just do one of this cowboy here. I think what I'll do to start things off is that I'm gonna actually work on this rough sketch that I have. So forgive me if I'm not too chatty, because I'm a little out of form. So I figured maybe we want to just be either a sheriff or like an old school like rebel cowboy. Make these shoes a little bit smaller. Should have an eraser nearby. Where is it? Hmm. Let me give us his little hat. I feel like that's kind of stumbled across doing this sketch because, like, for some reason, every time I get into drawing, I always want to drink like Western stuff, which is strange because I don't really watch a lot of Western stuff, but I do have always liked that aesthetic. So I figured, why not? Alright, so give me just one moment. Let me see. Because there's some other materials I'll get ready to use too. I think for today's drawing, gonna focus on using probably just two items that are very valuable. These two ballpoint pens, Even though like 2 pens, they got like 4 colors, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. And as always, I'm gonna start with my trusty red. So let me start over his eyes. He has a mustache, but he's got a very bushy mustache. He's got very curly hair. I figure he's probably maybe more of a younger Sherriff. Or one that's maybe a middle just getting in there. Get his little hat, his little 10-gallon hat. Then he'll get his little vest. Other side of his vest. Let's get his arm. He has this foreshortening here. Hey, Shay, how you doing? Glad you dropped in. Today's more of a quieter stream today. Yeah, today's my first time in a while, I've actually if I had a chance to really stream. And as of right now, I don't know if I'll be able to kind of like stick to a consistent schedule where I'm gonna stream, like every Saturday. So what I may end up doing, at least for the time being, is that I'll probably stream whenever I feel it'll be a good time. Because whether it's on a Saturday, a Friday, it varies. But even then, I had been planning on changing up my schedule when I actually do these streams. me get his other hand, since I know that was going to be a little more trickier. Might make his thumb a little smaller. Maybe I'll get his belt buckle here. Has a little holster. Also, I figured for today I start a little earlier this time. Let me see and look up reference for his hands. I know this hand's gonna be kind of tricky. Just trying to make sure I get these little hands looking alright. Size, how do I want to do like these shadows? Because I think I'll probably have it coming from the right side. Barrel. I'm trying to get that right. Normally I don't draw weapons like that often, so that's why I'm trying to spend a little more time than usual on this. It may not look 100% right, but hey, it all comes in practice. Yeah, I think that looks alright. Trying to slim it down at the edge here to kind of emphasize that foreshortening. So I think I'm definitely going to have to I'm just kind of lightly mapping out where I want my shadows to be. And you know I've said before in my other streams, it really, yeah, you should always, if you're in a shadow, make sure you map out where your shadows are going to be before you actually start shading just yet. And thank you. And I had the idea for this guy, Vicar, maybe this cowboy, he's like a sheriff. Maybe he's really telling somewhat, or is he somewhat a younger sheriff? One who's got a lot of experience under his belt. I figured I kind of round the edges. I didn't want to have to be too angry. I figured like maybe he's a cowboy where he could be a very friendly guy. He could be a very friendly guy. Someone you definitely love to talk to. But if you're on, yeah, but if you're a criminal, you're someone on his bad side, he's definitely something you want to watch out for. I think what I will do, let me kind of lightly color. I think I will lightly kind of color in some of some things areas in already. Just to kind of map out the colors, to map out what colors I'm using for him. Maybe green for his scarf. Yeah, since I only got 8 colors here for right now with these, I'm just kind of utilizing the ones that I currently have at the moment. Even with Bob Worm's been going very light as far as laying these colors down. He's kind of coloring the silhouette on where his gloved hands. I think I'll have his hands be kind of gloved. You know what? I think I'm gonna go harder on the black here. And just start working on the outlines. At least now I've kind of mapped out I've already kind of mapped out the whole sketch. Let's kind of bring him to life. Get the wrong side of his collar here. bottom is the top of his head here. We get a star here, his little sheriff star. Well, badge, really. I don't know why I'm thinking star. His belt buckle. His holster. Boots. Look at some. Yeah, I got a few reference photos on the side I'm kind of glancing at. Just make sure I'm getting the boots right. His boots are probably very simple because there's a lot of different like cowboy boots out there. Some are very, you got those long on the necks at the very top, and then you got some that are kind of short. There are different kinds that are out there. So I figure you got some that are very extravagant. But I figure him, since he's more of a simple guy, I'll keep them pretty simple. Let me shade in his hair while we're at it too. Let me see if I can get this sleeve part here right. Let me see how that gun looks. Once I get that down, then we can move on to the fun parts, filling the rest the same with color. I'm not gonna get complete. No, it's not gonna be perfect, but at least it'll look like what it's supposed to be. Alright, so I think that looks good. Looks good enough. No, it's not a perfect revolver, but it's a good thing because I don't really draw them that often. So let me go ahead and actually start filling in more of our colors here. Now that I've committed to how this Sherriff guy looks. He's kind of darken the areas all around him. As long as this is ballpoint pen, I can start light and start building up in color. You know, as I go further in. I'm just kind of slowly building everything up. Strong and oh yeah, he's definitely a strong individual character, and I want to kind of get that across just in his pose alone. Because anytime if I'm drawing like characters, especially if I'm drawing like characters I think that I might end up using in a story, I always kind of try to make sure whoever posing it represents like a part of their personality, or at least indicates something about who they are. I'll probably do a little bit of color mixing here and there, so I know for here I'll probably use a little blue here. He has some shadows underneath his. Since a wide brimmed hat, let me add some shadows where his eyes are supposed to be. Yeah, I'm just slowly building everything up. shade in the pistol. Not gonna try too much gum because I don't want to cover up the details. I think I'll go back in with some more of that red. I'll probably end up using a lot more of this red as I go further along. Could definitely get that maybe it's on a hot day too. Maybe it's either it's half past noon, as is like in the old movies. Let me look at something. I think I'm probably having because I definitely want this to be more of a dark brownish color. Perhaps I'm mixing a lot of different colors together here. I figured for him maybe I could help it be a light, maybe almost tan-like color. Even though I don't have having to mix it with to make it tan just yet. You know, that'll come a little later. And so I'll pretty much be kind of alternating, going back and forth between all these different colors. Hey Isaac, glad you dropped in too. Yeah, I wanted the music. If you hear the music in the background, I got it playing on my old TV in the background too. It's really great to see y'all too. I would play my regular stuff. I figured since I ended up doing like kind of a Western type of deal, I gotta make sure, it's a little more, appropriate for the scenery. We got some darker shadows here around his shoes. Get underneath his. I listened to the original Kindred Spirit by Measure Go Up last week. The set sounded great. Oh, good, good. Yeah, I've been meaning to check out more, more of his stuff. Every now and then I am always trying to check out like different arts and new genres of music. And on more more ambient and new age stuff. That's something I've been trying to do a lot more, as of lately. When I draw, because normally like when I'm in the sketching phase, I don't like to have like music that's too busy in the background. Yeah, because I want everything on that I can rock, that I can rock out to, but just something that'll kind of get me in the right headspace where I can think clearly. I'm not too distracted on what I'm doing. And this is mainly just for like the sketching and drafting phase. I'm still figuring out what I want to do for the sketch. I'm still planning everything out. Now, once I reach that point to where I've sketched everything out, and everything is where it's supposed to be, then I can start coloring. Then I can actually be a little more liberal with the colors as far as deciding like what colors I'm going to use, what colors I'm not going to use, but also as far as the music I'm going to play too. Because sometimes the type of colors that I choose can really depend on what my mood is in too. The color in his belt. We got dark underneath. We got dark under his neck here. Darken it here. Maybe dark around his little sleeve here at the bottom. Darken the barrel. Cool. Let me bring some of that green I had back. Now that I've already committed to that. And also, you know, between like mixing different colors, you can get some nice different shades of like grays, you know, browns. And I figured this guy's probably since this guy's a good sheriff, I kind of reflecting his clothing a bit too. You know that he's in blue, you know, green. Cause like I want to get the idea that this guy's like, even though it's a guy who stands on business, you know, when he's not doing that, you know, he's a very chill guy, very laid. I wouldn't say laid back, but he's definitely a person who's very friendly. If he thinks you're a friendly person too. I'll use some of this light green from this other one here. Because this lighter green has more of a yellowish tint to it. Use this little light blue here. I thought I may be doing like a little stripe pattern on his on his shirt here, but I didn't want to overcomplicate it too much. I wasn't going to use it down here, but let me add light blue to some of his pant legs. Because even though it's a darker shade of blue, I didn't want it to be too vibrant. Because I wanted to be more of his pants to be more of a duller shade of a blue compared to his shirt. Sit back for a moment. Let me see. I might need to thicken out make a forearm a bit more here. And now I've laid everything out, I'm just kind of like stepping back a bit now just to make sure everything still looks okay as far as shading goes. You want to make sure everything seems, for the most part, uniform with shadows. That's why I recommend that whenever you do shadows, plan your shadows where they're going to be. If they're coming from the left, if they're coming from the right, is it coming from the top, is it coming from the bottom? It really helps to make sure you have all that planned out, like before you are committing to shading. Because you don't want to have a situation where, and I know a few of you probably had this before, where you started shading, but then you realize it seems off. Not necessarily because you know the shades the proportion be off, but if really it's coming from the wrong direction. I've lost I can think the number of times where I've accidentally, done that. You can see, as I'm coloring this, I'm getting progressively darker and darker. One thing one of my art mentors that I used to have years ago when I was learning how to yeah, thank you. I've slowly kind of getting do more like Western music, like I think what's that main pro? Like Erica Maricone. I'm sorry if I butchered his name, but I know he's got a lot of good stuff when it comes to soundtracks. And part of the reason I end up kind of like starting, getting familiar with him is that one from some of the old like Wild West music I've seen, but mainly through one of the jazz artists I listened to, John Zorn, who's really more of an avant-garde. Even though he's more of an avant-garde musician, he also does film soundtracks. And I know one of his most noble recordings that he did was that he did one based on one of Erica Morricone's soundtracks. I forgot what it was called. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. I'm trying to think, what was that? The Big Gun Down, that's what it was. And so basically he's did like rework covers Morricone's music. He's kind of did his own spin on it. And it's neat because it's very quiet, it's very low key. Like sometimes it can be very bombastic, but it also depends on like the mood too. I think going forward, whenever I start doing these drawings, I definitely want to try to go for actually having the music kind of suit whatever I'm actually drawing at that time. have this maybe his glows more of a brownish color too. At least eventually I will. A little bit of that red here. I do try to add, just to kind of give the picture a little bit of harmony when it comes to color. Sometimes I'll make sure I'll have maybe at least one or two colors that are being used fairly frequently. One of the reasons I want to go use red, like since out west, since it's very hot, I figured probably using red would be a good way to kind of like visually capture that. Have these fingers in the background, have them be more in shadow. Yeah, it's getting me close to, yeah, this thing will be pre-done pretty soon. Now I'm just gonna use use this little black section here, just kind of like really refine everything, just fully outline everything too. So as I'm just kind of winding everything down. Just add some black here for extra contrast. And sometimes, even when you're shading, don't be afraid to go and use the black. Because I know, like, there's some artists that say, you know, that you should never use black. My take on the whole thing is, you can use black, but don't rely on it. Because one thing about black is, you know, since it's a very dominant color, it can make your colors muddy. But I feel, you know, like, if you're using colors that are already, if you want that extra contrast just to kind of really make your shading more prominent, I'd definitely say use it. Especially if you're dealing with more, like, dark colors that are kind of dark to begin with. Yeah, so I'm just kind of going around, just kind of really kind of fine-tuning these outlines. And I don't know what it is about Cowboys and Westerns that's just so fun to draw. Because I don't really watch a lot of like Western stuff. I guess for some reason I just always like that aesthetic. Not to say there aren't some that I haven't seen. I think the most recent one I've probably seen, of course, even though it came out a while ago, was Magnificent Seven. And I've seen both of them, both the original one with Yul Brenner, but also the newer one with Denzel Washington. I still need to get around to seeing Seven Samurai because I know really some people don't realize, you know, like Magnificent Seven, it was based on an old samurai film that actually came out in the 50s, and that ended up getting reworked into that western. But I think it's fascinating because at least as far as I know, I don't recall any other like western films that are like that where they were actually initially like samurai movies. Even though I said almost done, let me just add a little more red. Alright, so now I think we move on to one of the final touches, and that's going to really alter how you're going to look. Take a look at this scene right here. Only thing I'm going to be using in this scene is a simple yellow pencil. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go around our cowboy, just kind of coloring the whole area in yellow first. I'm glad you guys like the music in the back, though. I wasn't sure how people would kind of really respond to it. But you know me, I always like to try play different stuff in the background. I don't know if the camera's shaking too much. I hope it isn't. So what I'm also going to do here, I'm going to lightly kind of go over our red marks here with a little bit of yellow here to really kind of give this guy more of an orangish tint. So that way I can so I may have a little makeshift peach color. Go over our green. Now our green's been actually kind of made a little brighter. Just gonna go over our hat here. Yeah, I'm just using a very, very light amount of yellow. I'm just gonna go right on the scarf. I could have held off on using it down here. I'll make it work. I'll make it work. Add a little bit on his badge. Get some of his belt buckle here. We go over his brown vest here. I think I will probably go back over when some of these areas in red just a little more once I'm done using this yellow here. But you can see, you know, how as I'm adding more to colors, like now some of these browns are starting to show up now. Using a tiny amount of like yellow here on his shirt here. Just a tiny amount. I think I'll use it kind of blend out some of these midtones here. And you can see, like in some areas I'm using a lot of yellow, other areas I'm not. As far as using on an actual cowboy dude here. Color in his boots while we're at it. Alright, cool. So we're looking alright. So now, actually what I think I'll do now, I know I used some pink earlier. I didn't really use the pink, so I think I'll use a little bit of that to kind of go over some of the areas that we made. Just to kind of get figure that pink with that, pink with that yellow. I'll give like a nice bright orange rather than a darker orange like I had before. on his face. Yeah, so I'm just kind of alternating, so I'm just adding a little more fine-tuning here. Just like fixing up areas I feel could use some extra touch-ups. You ever know, like sometimes you'll have some stuff where it'll look, where you think you're done, but then you'll see something that'll pop out of you. I know I've said that many times before in these other streams, but it always keeps happening. And who knows what he's probably pointing his pistol at. Maybe it's at a bank. Maybe it's at a bank robber, a notorious outlaw. Could be a small-time crook who just interrupted a chef during a new hobby. You never know. You're almost done. Almost done. I know I keep saying almost done, and I spin it for another 10 minutes. Sorry, I keep doing that. Let me just go over some of that blue again. little bit some of that blue here. Alright, you just add a little more yellow down here around his boots. Alright, you guys, I believe that is it for our gun-toting sheriff here. So guys, I hope you all really enjoyed, watching me draw this guy. I know it's been a while, since I've actually did these streams, and I appreciate all of you that came in and actually stuck out for stream. I appreciate all of you that just dropped in for a little bit, just to say hi. Yeah, it really means a lot that you guys did that. So, I don't know when exactly I'll have my next stream planned. But when I do my next one, I'll definitely let you guys know, when it'll be. So, until then, guys, I hope you all have a great day, have a great weekend. And I'll see you next time.